God that you did that for on the map.
This is a regular meeting of the Pollyant Trailway Management Council. Today, we're meeting at the Village of Oxford. Thank you for hosting. Today is September 19th, 2018. I'd like to ask everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a brief invocation. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Lord, thank you for allowing us to be here and meet freely and openly. Please help us be kind and loving towards one another. Please help us do what is right for the trail, what is right for our communities, and what is right for this country under your guidance. And this we pray in your Son's name. Amen.
Thank you. Okay, could we have a roll call for attendance of the council members?
Mike McDonald.
Present.
Curtis Wright.
Here.
Elgin Nichols here. Bruce Pearson.
Here.
Aaron Watley. Absent.
No, he's
Aaron's here.
Is he here? I
Yeah,
didn't hear him.
he stepped out.
Okay.
But not here.
temporarily on here.
Oh, boy, I almost got him, didn't I? Okay, so we'll assume he's here. Donnie Steele.
Here.
Sue Bassardit.
Here.
Let me see. Kevin Green.
Here.
Linda Moran.
Here.
Eric Sent.
Here.
All present.
Okay, we have a quorum. And we'll move forward then. Council has received a proposed agenda. Are there any questions, changes, corrections, additions, subtractions? If so, please make that known now. Otherwise, a motion to approve the agenda would be in order.
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
All in favor of the motion to approve the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. Okay, moving on. Council has before it in the consent agenda the minutes of our last regular meeting, which was August 15th, 2018. You should have found a new set of minutes in front of you when you sat today. We did make another correction that was brought to my attention. If anybody has any further corrections, please bring them forward. Otherwise, a motion to approve. Well, I always get this messed up. Do we do them collectively?
You can.
Okay, we'll do it collectively then. If there's no other questions on the minutes, treasurer's report, council should have found the bills in the packet. It was in two places, towards the front of the packet and again towards the rear. First, bill run for September 19th at a total of $5,084.11. And then you should have also received in your packet the financial report with the treasurer's summary. Donnie, anything you'd care to add?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
And also included was the trail manager's written report, which was found near the end of the packet, the last 3 pages. Okay. Is there a motion then to approve the items of the consent agenda, including the bills in the amount of $5,084.11?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Eric.
I'll support.
Okay, there's a motion and support. Are there any questions on the motion? Hearing none, could we have a roll call, please?
Mike McDonald.
Yes.
Curtis Wright.
Yes.
Elgin Nichols, yes. Bruce Pearson.
Yes.
Aaron Watley.
Yes.
Donnie Steele.
Yes.
Sue Bassardit.
Yes.
Eric Sent.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to public comment. Is there any? Hearing none, we'll move on then to the citizen representative report. Mr. Kevin Green, anything for us this month, Kevin?
No, no report.
Okay, thank you. Trail managers report.
I promise to be quick.
Just a couple of updates on Wood Trail, the sinkhole in Oxford Township. I've been in contact with Heidi, the project manager. Because of the heavy machine operators strike, it's delayed. Our COC did pay for 10 tons of material, topsoil, or topping material from a quarry in Flat Rock. Whatever material is not used for the repair, they are donating to the Pollyanna Trail. The Clarkston gazebo, I went to the Oakland County Committee meeting yesterday. They have authorized us to be given the gazebo. We now go to finance in Oakland County to see if they are willing to give us the gazebo for $1. At that point, we will move the gazebo, hopefully to Clarkson Road. I did speak with Orion Township in regards to permits needed. We are well within the height and the setbacks, so it's not a problem in placement. I have a call out to our ITC management, real estate management, to see about the permits that we will need for clearance and that sort of thing. So that is ongoing. The first hurdle was to actually get it from Oakland County. We've gotten it. Now we have to get the permits, and our donor will help us move. So we're in the process. So more on that later, but when it happens, I have a feeling it's going to happen pretty quickly. Powell Street Park, we did get an $875 tree grant to plant 4 trees over at Paul Park. So that was kind of exciting. I'm now in the search for a good nursery to supply us the trees. So they say October is the best month to plant the trees because they've gone dormant. So we're looking at October to get that done. Birmingham Seal Coat has been engaged to do the repairs to the asphalt section in the village of Oxford. That is actually scheduled for October 12th. So that will be done. It will take approximately 8 hours. I have put on the website and I put on Facebook about the trail closures. As time grows closer, we will put it out. CJ did do a story in the newspaper last week in regards to it. Pure Michigan, I've been working on our Pure Michigan application. I have gotten letters of some support from several people, including a senator. I did have the application filled out, but I have had a computer issue this week, so I was not able to print it nor present it. So more next time. Map signs. Map signs are done. They're fabulous beyond fabulous. There's a lot of my blood and sweat in those things. I did unveil them at the DIA ride on Sunday. Everybody thought they were fantastic. I am going to order 8 more. We did get our permit fees waived in Orion Township on Monday. I did submit the permit request on Tuesday at the township, and we were approved. Now it goes just to the building permit. We're ready to go. Let's see. We are working on the mile markers. Max is working on it. We have so far received $100 in donation towards the mile markers. The Leonard Pit toilet, we do have 2 bids for that. Mr. Pearson was going to contact Associate for a 3rd bid, but I do believe he was out of town, so I was not able to secure that bid yet. We did receive a call from Mr. Miller from Consumers Energy requesting that a gas line be run underneath the Pollyanna Trail at Addison Township. The address is included in the packet. He has filled out all the necessary paperwork. He's filled out a use permit and attached a $50 check to the Michigan Department of Natural Resources. He's got site plans. It's up for review today. We do have a lot of lawn waste being dumped on the trail. Orion Township is pretty good right now. Oxford Township, we have a couple of sites. One I'm dealing with, another one I have not actually contacted yet. I will be contacting them shortly. We do have an encroachment that is on the agenda today out on Lakeville Road. I did speak to the homeowner as an update just before the meeting. He did receive our certified letter, and he is in right now removing the bridge, which I have pictures I will show. He was very apologetic, and Mr. McDonald and I, and anybody who's welcome, we're going to go after the meeting to actually look at the site and see what he's doing and talk to him. Our last big thing is the storage facility. We are going to be evicted from here We don't know if it's gonna be 6 months, 3 years. I did look at the Powell Road area. We can get, I don't know, a waiver for our setbacks, and we have enough property to put a storage facility there. I'm trying to get some bids on what it would cost to actually build a storage facility there with electricity. It's not going to be cheap, you know, $25,000, not including an electric hookup. It would be on a cement pad. We're talking about 720 square feet with a carport on the side. It's something we can grow into. I mean, it's something that we're gonna need for the future. We can't be evicted from it. It will be our property. I have attached an email from Drew from the Village of Oxford about the steps needed to get approval to build the garage there. We need special land use. We need a variance from the zoning department, an easement agreement with ourselves. What we need to do is do an easement agreement with ourselves, so in case that property in the future is ever sold, we have agreed to whomever buys that property or use that property that they have a permanent easement to that property. So technically, we don't plan on selling it, so it would be an easement from the Pollyant Trailway Management Council to the Pollyant Trailway Management Council easement across the trail. Then the site plan approval from the Planning Commission. They're all doable. The village is, you know, will work with us as far as, you know, as much as they can to get it built, and then we can stay there permanently. So it's a pretty good option. Another option would be, Aaron has mentioned they're building a pole barn, and they will have space to rent in the pole barn. That is something we would have to pay for. I don't know what the cost would be, and I don't know what sizes are available, and that pole barn is not built yet. It's on the schedule, I think, for next year, Aaron? Is it on the schedule for next year, Aaron?
Tentatively.
Right.
We're going through the budget process right now.
So, I mean, that's an option too. We can actually rent space in Orion Township. The space we have here in Oxford has been rent-free. So no matter if we build one permanently or we rent a space, it's gonna cost us some money. So that's the story on that. So I can give you a little slideshow of a couple of things we're doing, or we can go through it as we go through the approachment process, whichever you prefer.
We're going to be talking about it later, if that's all that you want to show us. Okay.
Yeah, just a couple of the DIA rides. And
Okay.
that's pretty much it.
Any questions for Linda from the council? Okay, we'll move on then to the new business. First item of business is events. Linda, have we got any, we have a Snow Dash 5K, which is a repeat event, I think?
Yes, it is. There are no conflicts, and they will have their insurance and everything in place by the event. And it's usually well attended, so there's no conflict, so I have no problem with that at
Okay.
all.
You have all the necessary paperwork covered?
They will have
And
it.
insurance?
We have
Okay.
the application, and as the date gets closer, they will supply the insurance.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion then to approve the Snow Dash 5K on what date?
It is on December 16th, and it's the Orion Township Parks and Rec, so we'll get their insurance.
Okay. All right, so what is the council's pleasure?
Make a motion to approve.
That'd be great.
I'll second.
Okay. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of approval, subject to the necessary paperwork being filed with the council for the Snow Dash 5K on December 16th, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. Okay. Next item is consumer gas request on behalf of the residents at 1244 Roland Road. You want to flash, do you have a picture of that, or?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
We actually have site plans. Mr. Miller from Consumer Energy contacted me about 10-ish days ago. They have a homeowner who wants to hook up to natural gas. They, Consumer Energy, would like to bore underneath Pollyant Trail. There would be minimal to no disruption to the trail and attach natural gas. He did send us a letter of his intent. He did send a site plan. And he also filled out an application for the DNR special use permit. He did attach a $50 check for DNR's requirements. He seems pretty straightforward, and I did inform him that we may approve with a performance bond, or we may deny. But I said there would most likely be some type of performance bond put in place to secure the safety of the trail, and he has absolutely no problem dropping off a performance bond for us at our,
Was the subject of Miss Dig also?
yes, I said you absolutely have to have Ms. Dig out there, and of course,
This is
he-
rolling here.
he's very compliant with that.
So are you asking us today for conditional approval, subject to the conditions and DNR approval, or are we going to wait for DNR approval?
We can approve it through our council, and then when the DNR gets online.
I guess it does end.
I told the DNR that we were going to be discussing it today, and that based on our approval, we would let them know what we decided. So if we decide it's okay, then we will proceed with the DNR and let them know it's okay with us, and that we can manage it at this level, and if they need to come out and take a look at it, or put any restrictions on it, let us know.
I think the most important or the most salient point is that Consumers has indicated on their paperwork and to Linda that all of the excavation and boring will occur on private land, not on the trail. The only trail use would be the boring of a hole and installation of a line under the trail between the two pieces of property that are owned by the property owner. So there should be
Minimal.
little to no disruption of trail use. Yes, Bruce?
I was going to say, I'm very familiar with this. As you know, I had natural gas put out through the township by organizing all the citizens, and we did bring up, this is one little parcel that they did not have natural gas to. They actually are having to pay an awful lot of money to bring it down Roland Road to get it underneath to their house. But there's actually two houses here that are the only two houses on the whole road that don't have the natural gas. And I see no problem with that coming up on their property and then boring underneath. It's a very simple procedure. But they're the two that are still on oil heat. And so they have been fighting for a long time for consumers to hook them up, and apparently they are successful now. So I'd like to make a motion that we accept that if Consumers Report, or if Consumers Gas says they can do this the way that you just described and bore underneath from the homeowner's property on each side, and it doesn't disrupt the Pollyant Trail, that we accept that.
And subject to the approval of the DNR as well.
Correct.
Okay.
They have insurance, did you say?
It's Consumers Power is insured. It's the Consumers Power that's doing this, not the homeowner.
Oh, okay.
Consumers Power has insurance through the state.
Linda, you suggested that a performance bond might be in order?
I think so. I mean, any commercial operation that we've ever used on the trail, loggers, construction people, we have required a performance bond. It seems to have worked out quite well. We're protected. If they do damage and they walk away from it, I don't think consumers would do that. But if they walk away from it and we're left with a damaged trail, we retain the money and we can we can make ourselves whole.
Well, do you have an amount in mind?
Not really. I wouldn't,
The last one was,
the last one was $2,000. They were just crossing the trail, though. This is actually boring underneath it.
Right.
So I think it should be more than $2,000. I mean, we could, potentially have.
and you did speak with Mr. Miller, the applicant, and he
Yes.
represented that they had no problem with the performance bond?
Not at all. He said that it's standard operating procedures and they have no problem with it. I also told Mr. Miller that we would need to be notified prior to the work, during the work. We need to know if the trail is going to be closed, how they are going to sign it so the trail users are safe and aware of any construction that's going on there. And again, they have no problem with that at all.
And just so you know, they don't go through the township here. They're authorized by the state.
Right.
All their permits go through the state. They don't go through the township.
So they, you know, he's been exceedingly lovely to work with. He's been very forthright. I really don't see a problem. But I do think that a performance bond is probably in order.
Care to suggest one, Bruce? You made the motion.
I've dealt with consumers, and they've been excellent. I would say a $2,000 bond is perfect. I know how they bore, and they bored my whole property, and I had no issues with them. And
Okay, so one of the conditions would be a performance bond of $2,000. Is there a second for that motion?
I'll second.
Mr. Simpson?
Question, how deep is the bore? How deep is the bore from the proper grade?
Well, it depends, they'll do it by the grade, but it'll be generally, when they're boring, they're down about 28 inches or so, or something like that. Now, when they went along the sides of our roads, it was much deeper because there were bigger gas lines. But when you're talking about going up to your property, I think it's about 2 feet.
Okay.
They're going to bore 73 feet in total, and it does not indicate a depth that I can find.
I don't know if frost line comes into play.
I suspect it'll be deeper than that, Bruce, because that,
Because they're gonna go underneath the
Yeah, it's
track.
gonna
But when it
be-
gets to the people's house, it's gonna be about
Right.
24 inches.
right.
But what about a 6-inch hole?
The boring machine is just, you know, it's just, yeah, it's just a small, it's just
All right.
that orange pipe you always see on the side of the road there.
All right.
Okay, so are there any further conditions or questions on the motion? If none, we'll have a roll call because we're requesting a performance bond.
I do.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Do we
Donna.
hold the bond, or does you said the state holds the bond?
We'll hold the bond.
We do, okay,
If the DNR wants one, they could also
Okay.
impose one with their permit, but,
okay.
Just so you know, there are already telephone lines and everything underneath there, all the way up the
Right.
trail, and there's already power lines and
I don't have a
Everything
problem, I was
there.
just curious on the
Right.
process.
I just figure we treat everybody the same. You know, if we ask one commercial entity to post a bond, everybody, you know, I mean, it's not unreasonable. I think it's a good safeguard to put in.
I think it's reasonable. I think we all do. Okay, there's a motion and a support, or a second out there. Are there any questions on the motion? If not, we'll have a roll call vote.
Mike McDonald.
Yes.
Curtis Wright.
Yes?
Elgin Nichols, yes. Bruce Pearson.
yes.
Aaron Watley.
Yes.
Donnie Steele.
Yes,
Sue Bassarda.
Yes.
Eric Sen.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, I don't have very much information on this, but Linda was contacted regarding Oxford Township having a water main project needing a
Riverwalk.
need. And where, can you give us a better description?
I know very little of it. Curtis probably can give us some more information.
I can.
It's a Riverwalk.
Is it Orion Township?
It's Oxford Township. We had 14 residences that were on a community well. The well went bad, and they're now temporarily hooked to Oxford Township water, and they are going to be connected permanently to Oxford Township water, and there's 2 feeds to the subdivision, one off from Drainer Road. This is at the Pollyant Trail and Drainer Road, if you can picture that, where the crossing lights are. It's in the southwest corner of that quadrant. And we're going to connect them off from Drainer Road, and there's also potentially a feed that goes under the Pollyant Trail out to where the collapse was at. But talking with the engineer, it looks like they're not going to use that second feed over the Pollyant Trail as of right now, so it's basically a non-issue.
Oh,
They're
okay.
just going to go ahead and feed them off from Drainer Road, leave it as a stubbed connection.
Okay,
So as of the last I heard is that Oakland County Water Resources Commission and Oxford Township Engineer says we're not going to use that second feed for a loop pattern, so. And the reason why is there's a big berm on the east side of the Pollyant Trail. They don't want to get into the homeowner on the east side. So that's the last I know, so as of right now, it's a dead issue.
very good. Moving on then, vertical cut, Linda?
Vertical cut, I'd like to do another vertical cut. We did the one in Orion earlier this year. It went great. I did send thank you letters to Rochester Hills and specifically George and his boss. They did a great job for us. Thanks again, Rochester. Keith Litchfield would like to do another vertical cut I am of the mind that the more we do this consistently, instead of every 20 years like we've done in the past, the damage, the fallout from it will be less and less. The more we maintain it, the better it is maintained. If we do this cut, it would be from Boardman to the Orion Township line in Oxford Township, down by Indian Trail is where it would stop. Heath his quote is $2,230, but he is saying in case of other fees, his bid is actually $2,500. He wants to start the second or third week in October because he is booked in November. And I don't really want him out on the trail in December just because of the snow and bad weather, and we don't know what's going to happen in December. So he would like to do it the second or the third week in October. The first year we did it in 2016 was a nightmare. 2017 was much better, much, much better, because we didn't have the mass that we had in 2016. I'm hoping that 2018, if we do another vertical cut, will even be less. I've been out there, we've been really working hard at keeping the side of the trails trimmed back, cut back. I've been brush hogging the entire trail myself with WAM, with volunteers. It's not anything like it used to be. In 2016, it was rough. It was really rough. 2017, not as many complaints. And then this year I'm hoping, and in Orion, we've been doing it quite frequently in Orion. I can't see enough good things down there. I mean, it looks great down there. Except for a couple of those darn chipmunk holes, I think Orion's in tip-top shape. So
Okay.
I would like to request $2,500 to do a trim.
I don't think everybody has seen the quote. I didn't have it in, I don't think I had it in the package. But I'm going to read it just so we're all in agreement on it. This is the quote from Keith Litchfield. It's brush cutting the Pollyant Trail approximately 14 miles between Lapeer, Oakland County line and a trail intersection on South Joslin Road and south of Walden Road in Orion Township. The objective is to trim back overgrowth of brush and low-hanging limbs along both sides of the trail, providing a safe trail to ride and walk along, as well as making it possible for emergency vehicle to safely travel. The plan of action is to trim brush to a height of 10 to 12 feet on low-hanging limbs, always attempting to keep the mature trees in order to give the umbrella effect for beauty and shade. Cut back existing brush along the trail as far as possible to allow for mowing equipment to pass through and to keep the brush back off the trail. They plan on using a tractor with a loader and a hydraulic offset cutter to trim the high brush and cut limbs hanging down, and then also an offset brush cutter cutting from the trail edge 5 to 10 feet, cutting and grinding up the brush that the loader mounted cutter cuts and drops on the ground. That is pulled behind the tractor. And they'll also use manual tools in order to accomplish that. So they're estimating about $110 an hour, and trucking and lodging of $100, an estimated cost of $2,230. And as Linda indicated, they suggest a budget of $2,500 in case it takes a couple hours longer than their estimate. But they do state that their maximum fee would be $2,500 to complete all of that work. So, any questions on that? Okay. So we're looking for a motion then?
I got a couple questions.
Okay, go ahead.
We just did Orion.
Right,
so-
we won't be going that far. We will only be going to Indian Lake Road. When I originally did this.
Indian
quote- Indian Lake, you know, the bridge, the trestle bridge that goes over
Yes.
Indian Lake, that's where we would stop. Because on the other side of that is when Rochester picked up and did from that point south to Joslin Road. When I did this quote, it was prior to Rochester coming in, and I wanted to go for a worst-case scenario, so it should be less than 2,500, but
It's based on hourly or?
based on hourly.
Not flat plus hourly.
No, it's based on hourly,
Okay.
but he said his maximum fee would be $2,500. And how do I want to say this? I'm kind of a nudge. I go out there with him a lot, and I'm always pointing stuff out. And I think that's why last year went a little bit better, because I was constantly out there with him. 2016, he was kind of at his own devices, so I'm kind of a,
So they're gonna clean up after, as you go
Yes.
through? He's gonna clean up after himself this time around, okay.
Well,
I mean, as much as he can.
his cleanup, though, basically consists of dragging a brush hog and driving over any of the a brush that is trimmed that falls to the side of the trail. So it's not like he's going to be raking it up or chipping it up.
No.
So,
It's
But it
still-
will be off the trail.
It'll be off the trail.
yeah, and they were good about that the first time
Okay.
through.
Yeah.
I make a motion. Can I make a motion?
Absolutely.
I make a motion to authorize trail manager to contract with Lynchfield to do the overhead cut on the trail for a cost not to exceed $2,500. Trail manager
second that
and
motion.
chair and trail manager.
Okay, so that motion was supported by Mr. Pearson. Are there any questions on the motion? Yes, Curtis?
Not on the motion, but as far as, I know Mrs. Sharpie came to our meeting last month
Yes.
and showed a bunch of pictures of problems with trees being shredded at the end. Are those still going to occur with Mr. Litchfield?
Yes. I mean, there, I don't know.
Linda has spent a lot of time on that,
Yeah.
council, just so you know. After that, she's been out and she's inspected the trees, and I have to say, the damage is there, but it is,
Necessary either.
it's the price we have to pay, unfortunately, to keep the trail open and clean, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, part of the situation we're fighting, we're fighting years of not having aggressive trims. It's growing pains. You know, the first year, 2016, we did a really, really bad haircut. I mean, it was a nightmare. I cried every
It was
time I went
needed.
out there. It was horrific.
It was needed.
I've spent the last year and a half cleaning that up, and I still find spots that are a little rough in 2016. 2017 was not that bad. We did it later in the season. Because we had done such a dramatic cut and a pretty good cleanup in 2017. 2017's fall cut was not that bad. I'm really anticipating the more we do this, the more diligent we are with our maintenance program, the better it's going to be. I mean, we just can't let this stuff slide because then we have these 3-inch spikes.
More goats.
If we do it every year, it's not going to be 3 inches. It's going to
Well,
be less than a quarter inch.
I think absolutely that we need your oversight during the process to make sure that if there are things like that occurring, that they get addressed right then and there. There's no reason for them to leave a spike. They can grind to the ground with their equipment. So I firmly believe they try to get stuff done in a hurry.
Right.
And when they think they've got to rush, they really don't. And if you would convey that we expect a quality job, not a fast job.
Correct.
You know.
Last year, we had a better outcome. I actually rode in the cab with Keith. So, you know, I'm I can't help it.
Okay, council, we have a motion and support. Any other questions? If none, a roll call on the motion, please, to authorize up to $2,500 for Mr. Litchfield to perform vertical and brush cutting.
Eric Sant,
Yes.
Sue Basarda,
Yes.
Donnie Steele,
Yes.
Aaron Watley. Bruce Pearson,
Yes.
Elgin Nichols, yes. Curtis Wright,
Yes.
Mike McDonald.
Yes,
Approved.
thank you. Okay, moving on, the encroachment on Lakeville Road. Linda?
What we have is a homeowner that has built a bridge on the trail.
Is he removing it?
It's
Well, it gets better.
pretty,
This was actually his first phase. He has 2 access points to the trail. His intention was to build a bridge on each one. The bridge is all but 2 feet of them, and they're approximately 17 feet wide or longer.
longer. It was
I mean,
like,
70 feet long.
The entire 25 feet of the trail was about 4 feet. So the bridge is about 30 feet long, right about.
Built almost entirely on trail property. So Linda made me aware of it. She'd been out and investigated it, and go ahead.
Just a couple of quick things.
Are you kidding?
We were out 2 weeks ago with Wham. This is the curb out at Lakeville Road by the gravel pit. Peter Fredericks, who's the owner of the gravel pit, put these stones here to keep people from trespassing. It's a pretty dangerous type turn. We went out with Wham and cleaned this all up. This was completely overgrown. You could not see these blocks at all anywhere. I went out and painted slow and caution on, well, let's see, I guess that was it. Slow and caution on several of the stones before the turn and at the turn, just to try to keep people aware that it is a tight turn coming and going. I think it's a lot safer now. We really widened up that turn. You can really see before you make the turn and after you make the turn. It's much better, much better. So we've got all the brush. I mean, you could not see these stones at all. It was completely overgrown. So here's our encroachment. Last Tuesday, I was doing just my general, going down the trail, checking stuff out. We had been out there, Wham and I, on the 26th, and we had mowed this entire section. This was not here on the 26th. We had mowed and we had turned back over a mile of the section. This was last Tuesday. This is going back to their property. This is the trail side. This is my truck. They actually dug into the section we mow, 3-foot section we mow. DIA ride, everybody, sorry. This was last Thursday. Mr. McDonald and I went out there. This is the completed bridge. I gotta say, the workmanship is tremendous. I'd like to have this guy in my work. They did clean up the ditch. They did dig out the ditch a bit, and they did remove all the vegetation on the side berm, and they built the bridge. Mr. McDonald and I did speak with the homeowner's wife. He was not at home. He explained that the bridge has to go. We do not have permission. It is on our property. We did say, you have 14 days to remove it. If you have any problems, contact us. If you need more time, we're reasonable, but it has to go. Fresman was out of town hunting in Colorado at the time. He did call me this afternoon. I spoke to him right before the meeting. He said they are very apologetic. They were unaware. They are in process of removing this bridge. The boards have been removed, and they are doing repairs. They would like guidance as far as what they can and cannot put there. Mr. McDonald and I are going out after the meeting to speak with the homeowner on site to make sure they are in fact removing it and to let them know what they can and cannot do. Their intent was actually to put in a second bridge that matched this one further down their property, on the west side of the property. They had already cleared out the section, and they were preparing to put a second bridge in. We did tell the homeowner's wife, that's not going to happen. So, anyway, I think they're reasonable. We did send them a certified letter. He did respond to the letter. I think the situation will be well in hand, Mr. McDonald, and anybody who would like to come out with us, we can take a look at the site.
And thank you, Linda. And just for the council's knowledge, I think the position of the council is that we're not going to allow permanent structures to be built on the trail property. Now, as far as access across a ditch, originally there were a couple of planks there that were used. They were not mounted, they were just laying on the ground, and they were, according to the homeowner, they were damaged when consumers or Mishcon or somebody made a repair. You remember who that was, Linda?
It was the gas pipe that had gone through about 3.5 years ago, and the repair was actually done to the trail. I don't know.
Yeah, they did the damage and left it.
Yeah.
And then they had to come back and fix it.
Right.
I think our,
It wasn't the gas line,
it
though.
was AT&T? Was that AT&T?
It's
It was the road commission.
It's the road.
Oh,
It's-
okay,
it's a
road.
The
huge-
drain commission
Yeah,
went through
drain
there.
commission.
Okay.
They ripped up all the phone lines.
Well, they also damaged, according to the homeowner, the small bridge that they had there, which consisted apparently of some planks that were side by side. The point is that we'd like to work with all of our adjacent property owners. We don't want to be bad neighbors. On the other hand, we can't allow the encroachments, especially of this nature. And sometimes I'm afraid there may not be an answer. This is a large ditch, generally dry, but you know, it
Like
does,
spring
it drains the
wall.
area. If they put planks across it, they're still gonna come within 2 or 3 feet of the trail, but at least they'll be low. But they may not find that satisfactory, but honestly, I think that's really all we can tolerate, unless you've got another thought or an idea on that. Yes, Chris?
So to play this ahead, what do we do when somebody refuses to move the bridge? What's our course of action as a council?
Chainsaw.
Well, literally, we have an encroachment policy, which Linda has been following, and it's, knock on wood, it seems to be working. But it is our property, and if push came to shove, it would probably end up being a civil matter.
I'd just send them a very nice, thank you for removing it. We do compliment you on your craftsmanship. It was very nice, but we do not allow that on the trail. And at least that gives him a understanding that we're not mad at his craftsmanship, but we just don't allow it for anybody on the trail.
Well, I did explain to the homeowner when I talked to him on the phone, I said, we're not singling you out, it's not personal. We have 4 or 5 other encroachment situations going on right now, it's just doing business, you know. We address all encroachments, whether they're small or large.
Mr. Wiley?
I'm at two minds about this, because I get it that, you know, we have to respect our encroachments, and if a homeowner was to come and ask to put a bridge, part of me feels like adding a bridge or an additional access site not only improves the trail, if it's done right, it also improves property values. Now that homeowner has access to the trail, improving the property value, making that section of the trail likely more used because they have access rather than driving somewhere else or having a mucky area where they can't get to. So I don't want to open up.
The problem with this situation is really specific to this situation, and that is that there is a very large, wide, and relatively deep drainage ditch that has been there and has been in existence, and it is crossable with putting long planks across it. But if you put any kind of raised structure, you end up with the situation that we saw, where it is right on the edge of the trail, and we can't mow, and there's no room for error. If somebody's bicycling and hits that, it's certainly a safety concern.
The issue I have is that, yeah, this homeowner may be very cooperative and everything. If he sells his property, the next homeowner may leave it in disrepair and it becomes a hazard or something. I mean, this homeowner, like I said, we will compliment him on his craftsmanship, but it's just not allowed.
But your point is taken. Donnie?
And on the Paint Creek Trail, there was a couple issues like this. They stopped their work. We had them come before the board. They presented their plan. We had one of the council members go out there and look to make sure that they followed the plan, and we gave them like a temporary easement for like 1 year, and that they would have to come back and renew the temporary easement to ensure that whoever the next owner was, that they had it, that it was an encroachment, but we allowed it. It was over a drainage ditch, but it was still safe. So it was a way of actually handling everybody's comment and objection all in one.
The problem we have, though, is the DNR does not allow it. I mean, it's right in their book of operations. They do not allow it. They do not allow any permanent structure. It's actually in the manual that we have that we are not allowed.
It's not a DNR.
In fact,
Right.
when our DNR rep was out, she did notice a couple of spots that had been put in by builders. And they've been there for 20 years, and they are actually stone structures. There's a stone path that comes down to the trail, and I didn't know what to tell her. I mean, my assumption would be it was okay. But they don't allow them. And
Easements or access points or just structures?
Structures.
Okay,
You
I
can
guess
put
I didn't
structures.
realize that. And the Paint Creek Trail is owned by the Paint Creek Trail.
You can put structures that are not attached into the earth. Anything that is temporary or can be removed easily during times of flood.
Subject to.
Subject to.
To having 3 to 4 feet, DNR wants 5 feet on each side of the traveled trail kept clear. That's their standard.
Okay.
So,
That's-
and that's
Then that's why
why,
we
this,
follow
that's the only reason this is an issue. And quite honestly, if there was, if they just had a ditch running along the side, we would have let them know they can't put a permanent structure, but it would,
They need a drawbridge.
yeah.
But that's
Or a
actually what I told him.
I thought a cantilevered bridge, you know, so.
That's actually what I told him, if he could, formulate, his son is 5 and is adorable. If he could get a drawbridge, that would work great. But the next problem we have with this, it is a fabulous bridge, absolutely fabulous. He's gonna have trespassers all over the place. And then he's gonna be calling me upset that the trespassers are coming onto his property.
And they do have that at Paint Creek, and they say if you
So-
do
And
this,
there's a
this is what
liability
you could
with that
expect.
as well, which you should be aware of.
And it's on our property, it's only 80, the sides are only 18 inches high. It is a serious tripping hazard. I can see a little kid out there jumping off this little bridge. It opens up a lot of, if we say no to one, we gotta say no to all, so.
Kevin, did you have?
Well, she basically just said it. My observation as a user, I went by and I saw it, and I've run that trail in the winter, and sometimes I've looked for an access back out to Lakeville Road where that becomes real muddy, wet, and icy. And I'm going, I didn't know we had public access there, because there's no trespassing sign or anything, which could easily be resolved. But nonetheless, it was very inviting, and when something is that professionally done,
Right.
it makes you wonder as a user, well, I guess I can exit this way. So I can definitely see that happening. You'll have trespassers.
Okay. So where are we? You all set?
We're all set, that's it.
Okay. Next item, under new business, trail manager annual review / contract. Yes, folks, it's that time of year again. I did not prepare a formal review or questionnaire, but does the council wish to make any comments or statements on the performance or other aspect of our trail manager at this time? And in consideration of that, shall we offer her a new agreement? I see.
Where you live, Aaron.
Mr.
Don't you?
Nichols?
In my opinion, we probably have one of the best trail masters, I think, this whole part of the state, if not in the state. She's got all the energy, and she pursues every issue until they're resolved. I am very impressed with her. I'd love to have had a dozen people like her as employees.
Thank you.
I'm pretty much a nudge, let me tell you. Right, Aaron?
Are there any other comments any other comments from the council or direction?
So we'd have an agreement on the October meeting then
Yeah.
for consideration.
Donnie?
I totally agree with Elgin. I like Duck when she comes because I know it's going to cause me work.
Boy, welcome to my
In a good
world.
way, in a good way.
Welcome to my world.
Listen, I told Mike he's got to stop, he's got to put a block on my call because I'll just call him and it's like, he's like, oh, God.
See, I'd laugh because I was her delivery this last week. I had 3 things that people dropped to me to give to her. It's like, okay.
And it's like, I can say, well, I'm going to be out between Lake George and Curtis Road for 4 hours. If you want to stop by and drop it off, or Donnie's there all the time.
Okay, well, I will, if there are no further comments, I'll distribute to the council the current contract and ask for feedback prior to the next meeting, so that if there are any questions or changes, we can get them into the discussion at that time. Is that amenable with the council?
It's fine.
We
Bruce?
probably should get her an
If I had
AT,
more thumbs, I'd give her more thumbs, but
maybe you want her to go to ATV training in case there's any other incidents.
Chainsaw
on the,
training, too.
No chainsaw. I'm not allowed to use a chainsaw without adult supervision.
Okay,
But do keep that ATV in mind, Bruce.
she wants one. That's
I
what.
want one.
I don't know, the last incident didn't go well.
Yeah, but I wasn't on it.
Oh, you want to be on this one? I thought you were on it for a short time.
Enjoy it.
Okay, moving on to unfinished business, the Leonard Trailhead pit toilet repair. We didn't get another quote, so really there's nothing.
No, I think we'll have to
Good.
table that to next time.
I
Okay.
tried to just text them and it didn't go through, but I will call them.
Okay. As the council will recall, we passed a resolution last month for the Pure Michigan Trail designation. Linda, what's her status?
I'm actually working on it. I was going to print out what I have gotten done so far. Unfortunately, my computer is having a mini stroke. I have received several letters of endorsement. I wasn't able to print yours off. Endorsing us for the Pure Michigan. We have Chris Barnett, we have Senator Marlowe, several commissioners and that sort of thing. We will be getting some really nice letters of endorsement to put in our packet. So I'm hoping in, we have to have it in by November 1st. So hopefully our October meeting, it'll be done. We can review it, make any tweaks that we need to have done, and send it in at that point.
Okay.
So it's coming along, just have to have a computer.
Do you need anything from the council at this time?
Not at this time.
Okay. If there are no other questions on that, we'll move on then to the DIA Arts Ride Event brief summary.
Brief summary. We did great. We had about 65 people. Everybody loved it. We had 3 docents out there. We had the Volunteer of the Year, Howard. Everybody would like to see it out there all the time. It was great. We raised $166, which we will split between the DIA and the Pollyann. So it went great. Nobody wanted to turn around at the 3-mile mark. Everybody did the 15 miles. We did 15 miles. And we had about 10, 12 that continued and did the full 34 miles. So it was hot. It was a hot day.
How many riders were there?
About 65. George Ingram, Mark Moran, myself were the ride leaders. And then we had the 3 docents from the DIA. And it was fabulous. Great day, great turnout, just wonderful.
Well, I know that the event's not over, the DIA Inside Out event's not over, but it will be soon. And I think it's been a smashing success, and I want to, on behalf of the council, I want to congratulate you on coordinating this and getting it done. And of course, we can't give you credit for the weather, but certainly the weather has helped. It's been good weekends, and we've had a lot of people, a lot of positive feedback in all the communities.
Every event I've done this year has been, the weather has either been just the perfect temperature, except for the Butterfly Garden, 170-mile-an-hour winds. Yeah. It was exciting.
Mike, when does
Yes.
it end?
When-
When does the art come down?
October 31st.
Okay.
And with the bike ride was last weekend?
Yes.
Yes, last Sunday.
Sunday?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Moving on then to DTE tree grant. You kind of touched on that briefly
Right.
before.
We received an $875 grant. We've been approved, all the paperwork's in. We just need to plant the trees and pay for them, and then it's a reimbursement grant. So once we pay for the trees, we have our volunteer hours, we meet all our qualifications, we can submit for reimbursement, and they will reimburse the $875 we spend. I'm looking for some good suppliers of good trees with warranties that will, give us some guidance in planting. We have the Michigan Department of Natural Resources Planting Guide we have to follow, and I think it's going to work out pretty good. So we'll take some pictures of some trees for next time.
Okay, any questions on that? If none, move on to Wood Trail.
Wood Trail, we are at a stalemate right now. I've been in
Okay.
conversations with Heidi because of the heavy machine operators strike. All of their projects are pushed back. They can't get gravel delivered. They can't get this.
So it's pretty much as you described in your report is
Yeah.
where we are.
We have a bill for about $4,500 that I did get a, hey, where's our money, note from the RCOC about the repairs, and from the finance office, and I said, well, it's been held up. Once the repairs are completed, we'll release the funds. So they were unaware that the repairs had not taken place, because this has been contracted out to another company. So it should be done shortly. They want their money, so it'll
Okay.
get done.
Sounds good. You also discussed the storage option on Powell Street. Is there anything you need from us on that at this point? Are you going, do we need to? Go ahead, Bruce.
That, you're talking about that we're going to be taken out of here eventually. Is there a chance, have you ever contacted maybe that storage facility that's just north of the trail on North Oxford Road and asked them if maybe they would donate a storage and we give them a credit because we're a nonprofit, so we could give them a credit maybe or something?
I have not. That is an option that we can look into. I've had discussions with other council members that were possibly searching for a more permanent situation. Someplace we can't be evicted from, someplace that the terms won't change. We're a constant. And, I mean, I think that's a great idea. It's very close, it's no further away or closer.
Secured.
Kevin?
On the new map, trail map, is there gonna be advertising?
No,
No, because if there was, maybe there could be a trade-out with
not on
that
the, not on the
storage.
big metal ones.
No, I don't mean that one.
Oh,
I
the
meant
paper FedEx?
paper
Yes,
one.
yes. there'll
Maybe
be
that could be a
advertising.
trade-out with that company, the storage shed donated, and you can put their advertising on the trail map.
I can look into that. And
Do we
present
have a
council.
contact on the council that knows the proprietor there, or is that in the village or the township?
It's in the township.
Township.
Store and Lock is the company. It's owned by the Knopfs.
Okay.
It's worth trying. I mean, free is better than paying. you
Right.
know.
Right.
And we will need a rather large facility, and I am looking at some options as far as grants and things that may help us build that. If we do decide to build, I highly, highly, highly recommend, we need to have that property properly surveyed, so we know exactly where our setbacks are, exactly where our property lines. I have a pretty good idea. I've walked with the previous owner. I'm pretty confident I know where the property is. But if we're going to build a permanent structure there, we really need to have that properly surveyed. I don't want to go too far down the road and find out I'm incorrect in the location of the property lines.
Okay.
I have a couple of questions. Why are they going to level this building?
Parking.
For parking? What are they going to do with the metal after they tear it down?
If somebody wants to tear it down, they can have it.
Really?
Really?
It's,
That building would cost more to build if you were building it than a parking lot, just so you know that.
well, it's a matter of community priority.
Right.
Has there been any idea, Sue, about any more discussion on timelines or anything like that? Okay. All right, Linda, I think the direction is, from the council, seems to be that check and see if there's another avenue available with the storage places. And if not, we'll have to work on a concrete plan before we commit to doing surveys or anything like that.
We also have Orient Township's offer to rent a spot in their new pole barn, which may work out, if we have to pay for storage at a storage facility, it might work out to be cheaper and better to be in Orient, so. there's a couple
Where
of-
would that be located, at Camp
That's
Nakamura?
right off the trail, right behind the community center, if I'm correct, Aaron?
Yeah, we had discussed, we're throwing around ideas. We pay for storage for a lot of our recreational equipment, because we don't have facilities, and then our elections equipment. So we talked about sectioning off portions of the building, and if we're putting it right by the trailhead over there and by the Orient Center, there could be a little space cut out, and it could be served dual purposes for multiple departments.
I see. Donnie?
It might be a consideration if, before we build it or design it, is that we say, okay, a portion of it is the Pollyant Trails portion, and just add on to it and pay for a portion of it might be a thought too. And then that way we can do a collaboration, and then you're not pushing each other out.
To be on the trail, literally, would be
Best thing.
in my opinion, the optimal situation.
Right.
Which is what is attractive about Powell Street and what you're talking about,
I
for
like
sure.
Donnie's idea with, being a
Drones,
partner in
yeah.
it, rather than just paying rent forever, yeah.
And where we have we have all of our records, all of our grants, everything from past shuttled out in boxes, and they need to be in one location and gathered together, because it's in several different locations right now. We need to consolidate, get it all under one roof and not shuttle it about.
Well, Linda, if you would liaise with Orion Township and Aaron and Donnie, and let's see if this is another viable option.
Have you got
Sorry.
costs on putting up our own storage?
The what, I'm sorry?
Have you got costs or even estimates on putting up our own?
I have reached out to a couple of local contractors. One just said it's cost prohibitive. I mean, he's like $50,000-$60,000. Just to hook up to electricity might just blow it out of the water. It's many thousands of dollars to hook up to electricity. I have a couple of people that are working on some bids for us, but I don't have anything in concrete. I'm basically just doing some preliminary scouting to see what,
What size structure are you talking about?
I'm thinking like 720 square feet, possibly with a carport. Eventually, I'm not always going to be trail manager, I know.
So a
But-
24 by 24 structure, give or take?
Yeah.
With taller walls?
Yes.
Okay. Does that help? Just to give you an idea of the kind of area that we're looking
This is
for.
in the village?
Very small area.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, really.
Well, if you look, Linda did provide in the, her trail report, the last page, there is a list of things that the Village of Oxford, she's worked with the manager and with the
Assistant.
administration to address. So either option is optimal, quite honestly, as far as I'm concerned. Yes, Eric?
Yeah, Mike, two things come to mind. I think the option of partnering up with Orion is really a good idea. Secondly, the size you just described, I can't imagine that that's big enough. Is that realistic, 24 by 24?
For the equipment, I think it is. If we're going to have an office, we might be thinking a little bigger than that.
And this is strictly an office, that it's not lawn cutting equipment or anything like
This is
this?
all just, the storage facility we have now is for the lawn cutting equipment.
Right.
I have a grant out that a deal I'm working on, that they will supply us with a ATV-type rascal for the trail with a dump truck on the back, and also a zero-turn, brand-new mower for the trail.
Okay.
So we need someplace that stores this stuff. A lot of the big equipment, the brush hog and things like that the trail has now is stored at my house because it doesn't fit in our sheds.
Okay, so the answer then is 24 by 24 will be the right size?
Correct.
Okay,
Okay, Donnie?
yeah.
I lost my train of thought. Forgot.
Okay.
I'm back.
You're too young.
Is
to
on the
have
south
senior
end of the
moment.
trail, is it
That's our excuse.
viable because we're on the south end of the trail? I mean, ideally, it would be nice right in the plunk in the middle, but is it good enough?
It's good enough. You know,
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not always going to be trail manager. You know, you may get somebody that lives in Rochester Hills to take the job after me. You know, you may get somebody in Leonard. It's never going to be convenient, it's just going to be a spot. You know, this just happens to be very convenient for me because I live in the township. I mean, if it were in Leonard, and I store a lot of stuff in Leonard too, and I go up and get it out of Leonard storage. I store several trailers up there. So it,
Doesn't matter.
oh, wait a minute, is that another option, Leonard Storage? Yeah.
Linda knows that Leonard
No.
would work with her, but it is at the wrong, it's kind of like an Orion, it's a reverse of Orion, but it's far less accessible because you gotta drive up Rochester Road, that's the only way to get there, so, you know, advantages, I think any community, it would be nice to have a permanent presence.
Right.
And so that people can identify and know what's going on and where it's coming from, so.
and Leonard has their own storage issues. I kind of poach a spot when nobody's looking, and I have keys, and, you know, and the deal is, you need to get it out of here when we call you.
Oh, okay,
So,
all right,
you know,
scratch that up.
yeah. I kind of poach a spot. You leave the door open,
You're in.
I'm making a mistake.
Well, we do have enough property
Get
where.
a trailer and just keep moving it around.
Consider having a structure, you know, on the trail,
What are you
there,
gonna do for restrooms and everything?
the mill. God willing.
Okay. And
Okay.
it will cost a lot more if we build our own structure, if we have bathrooms, because we then would have to hook into water and sewer, and that option is not available, I feel, financially right now, but we have to have electricity, we will have to have cameras, you know, there's a lot of security issues there.
Okay.
We should say that.
You said you needed electric, sewer, water? all that?
Not sewer or water at this time. What's ideal about this location is we do have bathrooms here. So when we do have our WAMs and our volunteer crew and we meet here, we do have bathrooms available. My crews only have guys on them because of the bathroom situation. They don't let any women come out usually because of that.
The building that we would be talking about would not include water and sewer.
Can you open that door? And it's like,
But but the sheriff is out open 24 hours down at the offices, correct?
It's a triangle. so
Yeah.
And we can use the bathrooms in there?
Well, we have different facilities throughout, yeah.
She got a
So
table out
at our
there,
parks,
another-
they're open all.
We can make it work. When we're down in Orion Township working, we
That's
we
exactly
do
right.
use those facilities a lot.
At
so.
Charity Park, which has bathrooms.
Yeah.
You know, if I had a
That's smaller
bathroom
than
at
this
Clarkson
room.
Road, I'm just saying.
Comparable.
Charity
Okay.
Park, it's right on the trail.
Is there,
Just give me a bathroom.
is there any direction that you need at this time on storage?
No.
Okay. All right. Old business, we have none. Public comment, hearing none. Board member comments. Who would, Kevin?
No?
Eric?
No?
Alden?
I just want to ask Linda about security on the trails. I know you have cameras. How's that working out?
Well, we're doing pretty well. It never fails where we don't have a camera, there's a situation. We have, in the last couple of weeks, we've gotten a couple of calls. A 7-year-old girl was injured by an ATV on the trail. It wasn't a moving ATV, there were 2 ATVs on the trail at their property crossing site. They were crossing their property to get to the other side of their property on the trail. They had stopped their ATVs in the trail to look at something. She tried to go around them, and she fell, and she scraped her leg up. That's the only big issue I've had right now as far as safety. You know, illegal dumping and, you know, that, but nothing too bad right now.
How many trail cameras do we have, Linda?
We have 7. I have 5 on the trail right now. 1 was damaged.
Okay.
So I am going to be taking 1 from the location it's at now and pairing it with the 7th one.
Okay. Well, I'm just trying to give the council an idea of what we're talking about here.
Have our vandalism problems been taken care of pretty much?
No,
You still having vandalism?
yeah,
Not catch them on cameras, huh?
no. And we have had, we have one person, I'm pretty sure I am aware who it is. They know the camera's out there, and they go around the cameras. And they did damage a bench. Mr. Stone's bench was destroyed. Mr. Stone has repaired it and put it back on the trail. But you can definitely see, they know where the camera's at.
Okay, I have no comments. Bruce?
No comment.
Curtis?
Just any update on the project with the Rotary?
No, actually Sue and I had a couple meetings and we're like pushing on it a little to see what we can get. We're getting some information we can give to the Rotary. The DNR has not responded. I am going to go talk to their real estate management person. I haven't gotten feedback from them.
And I have not put it on the agenda because I'm not hearing anything, but at the point where we have to be up on it, I'm sure we'll work
You'll
together.
know about it. Yeah, we'll know. We're pushing on it.
Okay.
Sue and I are leaning on it.
Donnie, any comments?
Just a next meeting, just to give us an update on the master plan and where we are on that, so we know.
Okay. Aaron?
No comment.
Sue? Okay. Next regular meeting is October 17th at the Addison Township offices. If there's no further business to come before the council, a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, everybody, for attending.